Hi there, it's Ricky from Moshville Times here once again. I'm delighted to welcome Nottingham-based band Incinery. I have the vocalist James, I've got the guitarist Chris and Jason, and I've also got the bassist David. So first of all, how are you guys doing? It's been a funny old day in the politics game. How you been doing during lockdown? You still been working and all that?
Luckily my company had a work from home thing going off before this, so I've been working all the way through. Well, I say unfortunately, some days off, but it's nice.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to have worked all the way through as well. The pleasures of working in IT, you can work from wherever.
Yeah, I think we've all been pretty fortunate. None of us have been majorly impacted personally anyway by it all.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I was made redundant, but I was lucky enough to get another job a few days later. So, but there's a lot of people that are unfortunately not in that position. So it's good to see that you guys are not really affected by it that much. So with the lockdown still pretty much happening here in Scotland, in fact, we're pretty much things like we're not allowed to visit each other's homes anymore. How are you guys communicating your ideas to each other? Your songs and stuff, your riffs?
Well, we've all got some sort of access to recording equipment in our own home. So luckily, most of the songs had been basically completed by the time all of this kicked off. So it was mostly over to getting it mixed. But we've always been able to, even before this started, because we're based over quite a wide geographical location, just to send the stuff over to each other. So that's never been a major problem.
Yeah,
we use a lot of Facebook, Dropbox, things like that. Those sorts of tools that are for us just to talk to each other generally on a daily basis. So we also exchange a lot of things between that as well.
Yeah, we have had a few video calls like this as well between us as well, when we've had more things to discuss that just a little bit easier face to face.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for that. So the main reason for interviewing you guys today is that you've released your new single Falling Into the Sky, which will feature on the new album Hollow Air Theory, which will be released at the end of October. So how does it feel to get the new song out there after all the blood, sweat and tears in making the song?
It's been a long time coming.
Very long time coming indeed.
There's a bit of a vain musician part of it where you've been listening to your own stuff for so long, you just want to hear what everyone else has to say about it. But more seriously, I guess it's just nice to get it out when you've been writing the song and some of this stuff's been in the can for like a couple of years. It's just great to get it out and see what people say.
Yeah,
well,
it's nice to have a sense of completion. So these things have been in the States for however many years, so it's like we finally can draw the line and say, yeah, we're done.
So is Falling Into the Sky been one of the older songs then, Jason?
I think it's one of the newer ones that we made, wasn't it?
That's what I wrote.
Yeah, so I think it was one of the later tracks that we actually finished writing. So there was a couple of tracks that we did that probably over 2 years ago now, wasn't it? That we had riffs and ideas for, that we had recorded in that, and then over the years we kind of just put them together and made the songs. So, but yeah, Fall Into the Sky was one of the last ones, I think.
So with everything like COVID and all that happening, did you actually have plans to release the single and the album before now?
Yeah, it was probably planned for earlier in this year, to be honest, but I just feel like everyone's had to cancel everything for like 9 months, so we're all working behind whatever sort of field we're in, I guess. But Kenny will tell you more about this, but I think probably like from a mix point of view, it's probably benefited from the longer sort of gestation period.
Yeah, it definitely, I would say it has benefited that way. There are some things that been able to push it back a couple of months just because of circumstances. We've been able to do a few extra things that we might not have done. Added some extra like motifs and depths and things just to increase it, whereas if we maybe rushed it out a bit earlier, that might have been missing.
So you've had quite a few conversations about how you can do things differently within the band then?
Do you mean with this album with relation to the last one, or
just basically like because our life, the life of a band member has changed completely. I was just wondering, like, are you now looking at things completely different? Like, maybe like doing like a lyric video for any of the songs coming up from the album?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing just thinking about how what we do and how we engage with the people we would normally listen to, because like so much of what we've built up as a band over time has been live and playing a lot of live gigs, and obviously that's completely unavailable to us at the moment and for the foreseeable future. So
yeah,
a lot of these songs people would have heard if it had been the last album. People would have heard them before we got to this stage, but now it's like, so we've just put out the Falling Into the Sky, as you're saying. That's got a bit of a lyric video that we did ourselves, because we're how are we going to make this a bit more engaging, but we've got some other stuff planned for a bit later down the line, which will be exciting with some of the other songs.
Yeah, look forward to hearing that. Thank you very much. So for those that are new to the band then, how would you say Falling Into the Sky compares to your early material, and do you think you found the sound that you've been looking for with your latest single?
I think our sound's ever evolving. We all have quite different influences in the style of music that we listen to, and even mine's changed over the past couple of years. I mean, it's still inherently Incinery. We do what we want to do at the time, to be honest. We don't like to constrain to any one particular style.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the first song about aliens.
I think one of the other things is that if you compare it to the stuff we released 10 years ago now, it sounds matured. It sounds like we've experienced how to write songs and how to just create things and add more depth to them.
I think the songwriting's better, isn't it, than it would have been. I think it would have started off, we were a lot more focused on individual sections and working on the riffs. Yeah.
We've grown into working with each other more. We know how each other work, which helps in the writing process itself.
Yeah, I think we've been playing, over the past 10 years, like we know what works with our sound and that. And I think with this album, we've managed to kind of do a bit more experimenting on different kind of themes and that, I guess. So, but still obviously within the realms of how we would normally write with Incinery. So
there's always quite a lot in there that's not, I guess, for a thrash band, like sort of strictly thrash. Like we get booked on gigs sometimes where we'll show up and it's just like total blue denim shortland, and then we'll get on stage and start playing and just like sometimes like clear the room because they're just like, oh, this isn't like early 80s, this isn't what we thought we'd booked. But I think it makes the music a bit more interesting because like James says, we've got quite a lot of influences that aren't just what you would expect, and so there is a bit more going on in there, hopefully. Hopefully that's what you'll hear when you hear the whole thing.
Yeah, I certainly look forward to hearing it. So where was the album Hollow Earth Theory recorded and who produced it for you? And what can you really tell us about the album? I think it's got 11 songs, isn't it? Yeah.
It's 11 songs, and I can hold my hand up and say I'm pretty much the guy behind all of it, other than the drums. So the drums we got done by a guy called Sam Bloor at Lower Lane Studios in Stoke. Our drummer Steve worked with him in some other bands that he's in, so he came recommended to us through him, and he was happy to work with him, which is our most important thing.
Yeah.
So we got the drums done there, then the rest of it was literally recorded upstairs here in a bedroom. So we all got home recording set up. So I'm sort of the enthusiast home recording guy. So we basically took it on ourselves to do it.
Yeah, that's excellent. Thank you. So what would you say that Incinery done differently between the two albums to make Hollow Earth Theory sound the way it does? I mean, did you take a lot longer to record it this time, or did you do anything with the guitars, anything different, or anything?
I think the recording side of it was definitely.
Sorry, James.
Sorry. Sorry. I think doing it completely, more or less, on our own backs is what's the big difference compared to the last album. So, Dead Bound and Buried was done, in the studio in confinement of about 2 weeks. Yeah. So we were all there, all kind of living together in one place and just doing everything day by day. Whereas this time around, we kind of spread it out pretty much over a year, wasn't it? So or just under a year. So yeah,
Yeah, just taking the extra time to record is it's a lot more beneficial to the way we work. I think it gives us time to reflect on things as we record and go back and change if we feel it needs it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the other benefits we had is that you got 5 people you have to get into one place during a 2-week period. We all have different lives. Some people have kids, what have you. So this way, people could fit it around their lives and schedules, and you could just come in when you had a spare 3 hours or something, or an evening. Come in, have a cup of tea and a biscuit, and just crack on in a more relaxed fashion. And you don't have that. You need to get it done in the 2 weeks looming over you. You can just relax. I think that's also helped a lot with how it sounds.
So there was no drunken brawls in the studio this time or anything like that?
Not
No,
this
not
time.
this time.
No, not this time.
I'd have kicked them all out of the house if they did.
Like Kenny says, it was more teas and biscuits this time around, I think. So.
We're getting
a
old.
good selection of biscuits, that's what I'm saying.
We may just under
Biscuit brews.
So you must be excited for the new album to be released. So with it being 6 years since your debut album, are some of the songs quite old already, or have they only been constructed more recently? I think you sort of touched on this earlier, but was the majority of it like done recently and maybe just 1 or 2 older songs, or is that other way about?
I think because we've had that time to work on it, a lot of the songs have been around for like a couple of years, but they may not have been around in the same form they've come out of on the album. So we've been listening to versions of them for a while, but this is the benefit of not, like what they were saying with Dead, Bound and Buried. We had the studio time booked in and we had to get it ready to a deadline, and that meant compromise more so maybe than we would have liked on some of the songs. And this way we've been able to listen to them back and go, actually, do you know what? I can hear something that we would put in here that if we hadn't had the time, we wouldn't have been able to do it. So
I think
yeah,
this song is about 3 years old, and that one was basically completely written at that point. That was forgotten one. Everything else was in parts. I mean, lyrically, I've written basically everything pretty much this year for them all. So musically, they've existed in pieces, but it only come together more recently.
Yeah,
I think they come together in waves. So we'll have, as James said, we had Forgotten One, which was written the first, and then we'd get 2 or 3, then we'd get them done, and then that'd be a period of time, and then it'd be another 2 or 3, then a period of time, another 2 period of 3. So it was kind of staggered in little groups like that as we went along.
Yeah, I think at one point it was like we had, about 3 or 4 songs, and we were deciding whether we were going to do an EP again or whether we'd do a full album, and then we kind of wrote another 2 or 3 songs after that, and then we just thought, actually, we're starting to get towards an album, so we'll work towards that.
I mean, that's what I've been saying a couple of times. Sorry, if you've written 5 songs, why not just write another 2 or 3, and before you know that, you've got an album? I can see the purpose of an EP, but why not just write that 2 or 3 more, and that's it? You've got it.
Definitely, I'm still one of these people who still likes full albums as well over EPs. So.
Yeah, I mean, an album's got like a beginning, middle, and an end, so it feels it tells a story, so. But I can see why bands do it as a wee stopgap. But if they do like 1 or 2 songs, then you've got 3 live songs, and would you really spend 6 to 10 quid on it? I don't know.
It was good when we were first getting started, or if you're a new band and you want to get your stuff out quickly so that people can hear what you're about, and you're trying to book gigs and no one's heard of you, like an EP can be good. But yeah. For us, an album works. Yeah,
cool. So with it being 6 years then, like, was there ever a stage at the band where you're saying, guys, it's taking too long, we'll just go our separate ways, or we'll just stop the band, or there was always something on the go with Incinery?
It was mainly gigs, live playing and stuff like that. We did have a few periods where we kind of took a break because it is quite a toll on your personal life. You have to dedicate a lot of not just time, but it can be quite financially a burden as well. So sometimes we take some months out. We've actually had people such as Jason go and come back.
Yeah, I had to drop out for about a year. Yeah, because I was just struggling with, financially and time-wise with my personal life. But yeah, managed to sort that out and get some time back. And yeah, now I'm back.
Did you have to make the audition again?
I think it was just a smooth transition back into the band. I think they just reached out to me and said, how are you feeling now? And I was like, yeah, I'm all right.
The initial lineup just works for us, so it's always come back to it. Like I said, I think David left for a brief while as well and came back to us, but the lineup is what it is. It's Incinery in itself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's something I was going to ask you, James. With you being the vocalist, do you write most of the lyrics for the songs, or does all the members contribute to the lyrics?
The vast majority, I do quite often go to David, depending on the theme of the song. We generally come up with a concept and kind of a melody, and then write towards that. And I like to base mine quite a lot on literature and, like I say, we've got Lovecraftian themes. We've got Harlan Ellison in this one, so myself and David read quite a lot of the same sorts of things. So we're quite a good team to pull on ideas for each other. Yeah,
that's excellent. Thanks, James. So how are the songs constructed in the studio then? So following on from the lyrics then, so are the main songwriters of the songs or that take care of everything, or is Incinery a band where all members contribute to the songs? Sorry, I couldn't get that out there.
I think we all put something in. It's quite like funny some of the time because I obviously I can't play the guitar in any way like the guys can, but I can often, like, you can hear riffs and then I'll sit there just like singing them at them to like until they can like play them. And we like one evening we were writing, I think it was As Above So Below in Kenny's studio, and we just sat there for like 2 hours while I was like, I had a very definite idea of what it needed to sound like, just trying to like poorly execute it so that they could play it.
And did it work out?
I think so. You'll have to ask them.
Well, I mean, we got a song, didn't we? So whether it's any good or not is still for the public to decide.
Ken always puts together a scratch track for us for my writing purposes anyway. So we do work in that way as well, so we can send it and listen.
Yeah, we've done a few different interesting methods. So our standard method is quite often I'll come up with a sort of intro, verse, chorus, just one riff or something to do with that.
Yeah.
Sort of push them together to make a very simple structural idea. Then bring that in, go, I've got this, and then listen to it, we go, yeah, we like this, no, we don't like this, and we start fleshing it out that way. Mm-hmm. There's a couple on this one where it started all the way from us just being in the room and playing together, and then just stop them and go, oh, we like that.
Yeah.
And we've also had ones where we've had numerous riffs and just bits of paper with each riff name on them. We just literally moved them around to try and find how to make a song out of them.
As well. That, yeah.
We did storyboard one, yes. That was quite fun.
Storyboard one.
But I think the different methods have helped the songs get a bit more individuality. So hopefully it's not all samey, everything's the same sort of thing.
Yeah. Again, following on from that, like one of the rarest things that you can have in a band is a solid lineup, and it's pleasing to see that Incinery have kept it all together since their inception in 2009. So when constructing new material with the band members having their own personal taste in music, how would you say you keep it all together, for example, when negotiating what stays in and out of a song?
I think we're quite good at coming to a consensus. We've got, like we kind of said earlier, we've all been together long enough to sort of know what each other's tastes are musically and what to do. So we're not, as much as I might want, there won't be like a black metal opus in the middle of the songs, but we're like, we'll find the bits that work, and then we'll sort of synthesize it, I guess, out into something that sounds like. And it's probably why the band sounds the way it does.
We're also really open to actually trying something. If anyone's got an idea of something that might work or a change, we'll try it and see how we'll feel with it. So we're not strict in, no, I'm not changing this whatsoever. It's, okay, we'll give it a go, see how it sounds.
Yeah.
I think as well, as we've obviously matured doing this, is that we a lot of times look for the feel of something rather than a specific riff style. So there are elements that could probably come through there. Actually, like there's some quite black metal stuff going in there, but or the riffs, but it had a feel that we liked, and it added movement to the song in a way that maybe just a standard thrash riff might not have done. So that's kind of something we've also been getting a lot more better bringing in to evolve what we do.
So Chris and David have talked about black metal then. So Jason, is it you that brings in the glam, or is it?
No, I think I'm more the traditional old school thrash, but along with, I like a lot of the more modern thrash as well. But I think David brings a lot of that into it for us. But I still like black metal and that, so I appreciate that kind of stuff coming in anyway. So it's good to hear and good to kind of mix it into our sound and make it our own, really.
Well, it must be James then that's into glam then, especially.
Oh, absolutely. I'm the perfect type for glam.
You can't see it, he's actually wearing sparkly pink trousers right now.
Well, none of you have mentioned death metal yet. That's my forte. But I grew up with Testament and like Suicidal and all the rest of it, Anthrax and stuff and Slayer. So I just moved one step more extreme. But you always remember your thrash, you always remember your roots. So how strong would you say the Nottingham scene is? And would you like to give a shout out to any of your local bands?
I think... like everywhere at the moment, it's probably a bit destitute for the last few months. But I mean, generally, it's been great. There's a good sort of network of promoters, and probably not just Nottingham, but like across the Midlands, there's a good scene there. And you see a lot of sort of interchange between the bands. You look at like Leicester, Nottingham, across to Birmingham, like all sort of in each other's pockets, to be honest. So yeah, I mean, probably should give a shout out to Line of Fire, which is our drummers of a band. They're great, and we've been gigging around with them for flipping a decade probably at this point.
Yeah, we tend to play with a lot of bands from far and wide these days as well. We get a lot of people coming into Nottingham as much as we go out. So
is the Rock City still there?
Rock City is still there, just about.
Yeah, just now, yeah. It's the same up here in Glasgow. There's so many venues of all different sizes to play. Glasgow, you only had one or two places, but now it's absolutely everything. And I think when this pandemic's over, the punters are going to be like completely spoiled for choice. They're going to have, knees away. Jason's away. He's lost connection or something. But yeah, I think the punters are going to be spoiled for choice. I think when you're allowed to go to gigs again, you're practically going to have a gig every day of the week, wherever you want to go, any day of the week. But so where do you rehearse and record your songs then? Or where do you rehearse? Because obviously, where you record your songs. Where do you rehearse?
In a warehouse on an industrial estate, where there's a room where we can keep all our gear, and hopefully it's far enough away from humanity we're not disturbing anyone.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. It's actually an office in someone's workplace, but
we hire the room essentially.
Yeah, everyone's gone home for the day, and we can go in and make as much noise as we want, and there's no one around to annoy. So
is that a place that you've used for a long time?
It's been a few years now. We did actually have a proper practice room for a while, and then when we sort of took a break, we didn't want to pay for a room that we just weren't going to be using for X amount of months.
Yeah,
so we kind of stopped with that, and then when Steve joined Line of Fire, they had their own room, and we kind of just muscled in on their turf as he's the drummer from our band as well. So
that's excellent. Thank you very much. So there will of course be no live shows in the near future. So did you have plans for this summer, and do you have maybe anything in the pipeline for next year?
Yeah, it's obviously like a lot of us, we've all had gigs lined up. We had some stuff with the Thrashosaurus festival. We're looking at some gigs outside because they normally base that in Norwich, and they were looking at branching that out, but obviously that went by the wayside. We're booked onto Hammerfest for next year over in Birmingham. Fingers crossed goes ahead in February, and can't wait to do that. But yes, and then looking to book up for the album as soon as gigs are a thing again.
Yeah, it's all about being cautious at the moment because obviously we don't know the situation. I think as soon as people are able to start booking again, we'll start filling up the calendar, but it's difficult to say until we know when we can.
Are you looking to do like maybe a UK tour or anything like that, or just more festivals and local dates? Or
we'll play wherever you let us, mate. That would be great.
Yeah. At this point, I'm starting to get the old shakes from not playing. So,
well, I don't know if we'll let you across the border. That's the thing, though. You see, up in Scotland,
we've had a few good nights out in Edinburgh, down at the Banshee Labyrinth. That was
exactly where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, Edinburgh's the same as Glasgow, but generally when there's touring bands, I would say about 75% come to Glasgow. But yeah, we've got a good music scene.
You've got Doug Tired over there in Glasgow, who we've played with. They're excellent.
They released their 4th album, I think, last year, and it's absolutely brilliant. I don't know how these guys are unsigned, but I think they're actually quite happy being unsigned because they can just do anything they want as they want. There's no pressure from any label. But I've seen them live numerous times. Absolutely brilliant live. So I'm going to show my age a wee bit here. Before the internet, magazines and fanzines were the places to find out about new bands and trends. So now publications are replaced with thousands of websites catering for all genres. Do you think that some of the passion has been lost, or do you think that the internet has been a good thing for music and a good thing for Incinery?
If you're showing your age, because I still remember getting Kerrang and the Metal Hammer and stuff not that long ago. So
Crap.
Yeah, well.
I was talking to a couple of guys that I hadn't spoke to since 1990, and I was just talking about the tape trading days and waiting for the postman to come in and see what demo tapes you get, sending a £1 note away and you're getting the 5-song demo in return. You know, I just loved those days. But what do you think?
I think it's really benefited us, to be honest. I think when you're a DIY band, or like again when you're starting out, the barriers to entry that I presume were there back before we were really getting started aren't as prevalent as they were. You can get your stuff out there. It's no, you flipping back in the day, if you're trying to get your CD into HMV, must have been impossible. Getting your EP up onto iTunes costs 50 quid. So I think there's an opportunity for you to set your stall out in a way that you couldn't have done before. And you know, there's still going to be financial stuff that makes it easier if you can afford bags of advertising or whatever. But I think it's been helpful on the whole.
Yeah, I think generally it's a benefit. I mean, there's also the flip side in that you can get lost amongst everyone releasing. There's a lot more acts out there, a lot more music that people can consume. So it perhaps has devalued some of what you could do very slightly. But overall, I think just the fact that you can get it out to so many more people is always going to be a benefit.
Yeah.
I'd also say as well, from a music fan side, it's great for, I mean, yourself, you're doing this because you're someone who is passionate about music. Yeah. Could you say you'd be the person who was originally a reviewer in a magazine doing it, who was probably just reviewing the next 4, 5, 7, 10 albums because it's their job rather than because that's what they really enjoyed? And I think a lot more people now can do these sorts of things because they love music and not because they're financially contracted to do it by some sort of publication house.
Yeah, that's excellent. Thanks very much, guys. Now, we've only got just over 5 minutes, but I thought we'll talk about our instruments for a wee second. So, Chris, what guitar do you use for Incinery then? What did you use for a recording album?
So I have a ESP M2, which is in a urban camo, which anybody who knows me basically always sees me with that guitar. And I always get is that the Jeff Hanneman guitar? It's not, it's just the regular version. But that's the one I've used for every recording that we've ever done. So any sound that's come from us has always been that one guitar.
Yeah. So when you're playing live then, do you just take that one with you? Or do you take a backup guitar as well?
I am brave and just take the one. Mainly because I don't want the extra luggage.
So what do you do if your string breaks?
I play on.
What do you?
Yeah, it's very rare. I try to keep on top of my strings. I change if I'm gigging a lot. I do change them quite often. But there have been times where it's gone and I've just carried on. I think I had a completely broken string and still managed to bust out the solo for one of the songs. With the string flopping off. So.
Cheers, Chris. What about yourself, Jason? What do you use? Welcome back.
Yeah, sorry about that. My internet just dropped out. But so I use a Schecter C1 Blackjack, and I've used that throughout the whole pretty much recording process. And I use it live as well. So same again with Kenny. I tend to gamble when I go to gigs and just take that one along and hope that none of the strings break.
Do you have a dream guitar?
Anything like ESP or Schecter just will do me. Like the standard Strat shaped guitars, that's my kind of favourite style guitars.
Yeah.
I do quite like the look of these, but I just feel them like it's sort of uncomfortable, especially when you're sitting down and playing in a studio environment. Anyway, definitely fun to look at when you're playing live. But yeah, I tend to prefer the Strat style guitars. So yeah, the MH series ESPs or the Schecter C1s. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Jason. What about yourself, David? What bass did you use then?
The Schecter Hellraiser Extreme 5, which is my dream bass, and like found it in a catalog while we were recording the last album. I was like, I'm going to buy that before we do the next one, and then I did. So yeah, that's excellent.
Did you have to sell all your other bass guitars to get that?
No, unfortunately, I had a bit of time before we did this one. I got a nice Yamaha jazz bass, which I was using before that, but this is a little bit more suited to what we do.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thanks. And I can't leave you out, James. Like, is there a particular style of microphone that you use, or
for the recording, we did use the Shure SM7B, which is used quite a lot in a lot of all sorts of recordings, band metal stuff. But live, I'll either use the Beta 58, which are again pretty standard, or the Audix OM7. So particular styles, the OM7, because it tends to feed back less on stage for me with the amount of noise around me. But yeah, that's just generally it for sound.
So was it quite a bit of like trial and error for you to get the right microphone?
Oh, I've been through many different microphones and finally settled on these two.
You've got a box full of them in the attic. Right, guys, we've only got a couple of minutes, so if people want to find out about Incinery, where will we find you on social media?
So we've got the Facebook, which is just facebook.com/Incinery. We're on Twitter, but we're not really
Twitter. We're on
Instagram. We've got the website, which is just incinery.com, which also links to everything else as well. I think we'll slowly be building up some YouTube stuff as we go on. It's something we're not taking massive use of yet, but that'll be coming as well.
That's excellent, thank you. So I take it you're not going to wait 6 years for the next album then? Have you got one or two wee riffs lying about already?
Well, I was going to go 12 years, but...
Guys, I've already heard riffs that Kenny started.
Yeah, album 3 already has some songs, but then it's got put on the back burner to obviously get this one finished off. So
yeah. Is there a wee bit of black metal in them?
There is a wee bit of black metal in them. half of these guys haven't actually heard them yet, so it's still going to be a delight for them to hear first time.
Excellent. Well, listen, guys, I've got to thank you very much for coming on here tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I hope it's not going to be the last time. So maybe when you're like releasing videos and things like that, we'll certainly get it up in Moshville Times. So like I say, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I wish you all the best. Thank you
very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.